General Motors Holden will unveil its latest Commodore models tomorrow.
Sometimes putting it together in the outback to road test away from spectators.
Although 1985 was a record year for new car registrations, the figure fell by more than 13% in December.
Better economy will attract customers away from the big selling Japanese car.
This is an Aussie icon. This is a VL Calais Turbo. Now, you might be thinking, Deacon, you've already covered a VL Calais Turbo. You've already covered VL Turbos, and you would be correct. I certainly have. However, as great as those ones were, as great as they were, the BT1, the Red Calais Turbo, fantastic cars, really. But they were all completely standard and original, with the exception of Hector Habib's VL Turbo. But this one, this is a pretty serious VL Turbo. This one was featured on Ross Reviews, which is pretty cool. This one makes 300 kilowatts at the wheels. And if you're looking for a history lesson on the VL, this is probably not that video. I'm probably going to leave that to the other Calais Turbo video I did. This is going to be more about this car, about the cultural scene of the Calais Turbo, of the VL Turbo, because that's what this car is. Big power, scary power, frankly. You know, 300 kilowatts, it's a lot, especially in a car that weighs 1,200 kilos, right? This thing is pretty scary. And for me, I've never owned something with that much. Well, I did, but I'm not going to push this car because this car's going to bite back if I push too hard. But anyway, this car is an icon, frankly, of yesteryear, of the early, mid-2000s, late 2000s, that kind of thing. The epitome of modification of Australian vehicles. This is it. And mostly because, if you're outside of Australia, of what's under the bonnet, the RB30. This is the only Holden that ever came with Nissan running gear, and because of that, they have been extremely popular. This is the kind of VL that you see doing chap laps. This is the one that, yeah, it's very, very cool. Again, it is not an original car, not like some of the other ones that I've featured. However, it hasn't strayed too far away, which is why I like it. I have to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan when some of these cars have like VZ Senator seats and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. However, some of the performance mods like this one has are really cool. And are there two words that say 80s Holden more than Calais Turbo? I don't think so. It's just such a good looking thing. If you're outside of Australia and you're unaware of what the Calais actually is, this was the top of the line, top spec car you could buy. And as a turbo, this was the dark to nuts. This was the best of the best outside of the HSV, the first ever HSV. And one of the features that's very, very 80s is this. Pretty cool and very rare to see them still working. Very expensive to find a good set of those, but nothing screams 80s more than that. So below this was the Bellina, which had the standard front end. The Calais was very lucky. It got its own front end and very iconic, its own grille, just everything, its own wheels. It's two-tone. It's such an iconic car, this thing. I absolutely love it, but wait till we drive it. Now this VL Turbo is modified in my taste. I really like the original wheels. I do. That's one of my favourite parts of the Calais. This one's in a really good colour as well. It's so cool. The whole package, the seats, the running gear, just everything about this car. I'll quickly show you under the bonnet and then we'll cut right to driving it, because that is the best part of this whole experience, the driving and the noise that this thing makes. So if you're unfamiliar, this is our RB30. We have a GT3545 turbo. That's probably the most important gear in here. Everything else has been upgraded, and I'll put the rest of the specs on the screen now. This, of course, has the iconic drop-down intercooler that all of these cars have. It has the dose. It has everything. It's just a really, really cool thing, and I'm excited to bring you along for the drive. So this is one of those cars, as I wind up my electric window, this car's actually a little bit scary, and I mean that in a good way. Thank God it's got those massive Mickey Thompsons on the back. I don't know, again, I'm not going to push this car to its limit. I'm sure it can handle it, but I can't. So we're just going to go nice and easy on it. But you don't have to really push it hard to smile from ear to ear in something like this. It is very, very cool, this thing. Great colour, Calais Turbo. Just such a cool thing from a different era. To build one, I mean, people are still building these now, flat out. It is not a cheap exercise to do something like this. And even ones that aren't genuine and stuff are still good money cars, especially compared to what they were not that long ago at all. We've got water temperature, we've got transmission temperature, and we've got boost gauges, and again, it's obviously not original spec. All right, I'll just shut up for a second because we're about to go to an 80k zone or 70k zone. We definitely hit 70. This thing is unbelievable. I really like this steering wheel as well. Obviously, it's not the original Calais wheel. It's almost like a, kind of reminds me of like a VR, like it's a Momo wheel, but it kind of reminds me of like a VR VS GTS. I don't know if that's right, but that's just what's come to mind. Yeah, this is cool. Again, I know that it's not my usual video. My usual one is talking about why these are even here, and you know, I will touch on that. You know, the previous model to this, the VK, had a red 202, and then at the end of its life it had a black it had an injected 202. This, in terms of facts and figures, right, this engine walks all over that. It's not even close. Plus it was in turbo form. The biggest reason for that was Holden didn't have something ready that could run on unleaded petrol, and Nissan did. And funny story, my grandpa was working back at Ford's in the day, and you know, they would always buy competitors' cars and stuff. Again, look, I don't know how much truth there is exactly to this, but this is what I've heard from the grapevine, is they would buy the competitor's car and sort of tear them apart to see what their competition is. And once they had the VL, they were seriously worried, because the jump from a 202 to an RB30 is pretty significant. You're not doing that with a 202. So the Japanese were killing it at this era, and like, you know, some of the other VLs I've had on the channel, I've had quite a few now. I love them, but there was a few that I've had that are completely unopened motors, and they are, you know, you can stand a 50-cent coin on them. Such a cool thing. And they are so open to being modified. And my third car was actually a VL Turbo, manual turbo wagon. Was nowhere near as quick as this, nowhere near. Not even close. But it did make the right dose noise, so I did like it. It's just such a cool thing, this car, and I just can't stop smiling driving it. I like it more than I thought I would, being the modified stuff. Like, I like standard stuff, don't get me wrong, but probably only one slight negative with the standard VL turbos, they just don't have that, just that turbo noise and a little bit of fun. But it doesn't take much to get them going. recently I just saw a TikTok by an American bloke actually saying that no one ever talks about the VL, and that may be true over in the United States, but in Australia that is definitely not true. It is one of the most popular cars right now, honestly, and we're just driving through a construction zone. And every bloke was looking at it, so yeah, they are a really good thing, this car. Absolutely love them. My palms are actually a little bit sweaty from driving it. However, I'm saying that, you know, take away that it's modified, sitting here at and we're going 70 k's an hour, it's like nothing. So obviously it's been lowered, so it's slightly bumpy, but that's not the car's fault. But they're just a great thing, these VLs, and I really want one of these cars, man. It's a real goal to be able to get one, and they're just so iconic. The thing I keep thinking in my mind is that when they were testing them on the proving ground and they're all going around, and you know what, I'm going to stop myself there because I'm waffling on. I could talk about these things forever, and to stop this video being 2.5 hours long, we'll cut it. We'll stop talking there, and maybe we'll listen to the car for a little bit. I hope you guys have enjoyed the time with the VL Calais Turbo. I did forget to mention one thing. It is running 17 pound and it is a Series 2. I did forget to mention that, so can't forget that. Hope you guys have enjoyed. I know it's a bit of a different video. We haven't really touched on the VL Calais Turbo itself, but we already have a video for that, which I'm quite proud of. So I didn't want to make the same video again, and that's why I think that even though it's the same car, it has been tickled in a different way. It's a great looking thing, isn't it? I really love this. And if you guys would like your car on the channel, please feel free to get in touch. I think it would be cool, and let me know your thoughts on having some lightly modified stuff like this on the channel to compare it against. I don't know, I think it's a good idea, especially ones like this, that it's true to the original. I really like it, so I hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and a big shout out to Holdcom for sponsoring the channel. Without their help, I wouldn't be able to do this, and if you guys use my code on screen now, you'll be able to save 5%. How cool is that? So good big thanks to them, and thank you to Daniel for lending out the car. This particular car was also featured on Rust Reviews. So yeah, it is very well loved, this car, and I like it. I like it, even though I admit, you know, there are things on this car that may not be my exact taste, but that doesn't matter, right? Because it is not my car. I can still appreciate how cool it is. Thanks for watching.